How's it going, everyone? I'm back with another Destiny 2 video. While sunsetting is a hot topic and a controversial one at that, if you want to participate in endgame and raid activity when Beyond Light drops, it may be beneficial to have a decent arsenal to choose from. We don't know what seasonal mods there will be in Season 12, so having a few of each weapon type would be the best way to prepare. So with that, I want to compile a list of weapons I would recommend farming a decent roll on right now. I'm not going to go over what a potential god roll is for any of these. There are plenty of ways to find what are considered god rolls online. You can check light.gg, you can watch a video from any of the other great content creators out there, or you can experiment on your own. Personally, I would say there isn't one singular god roll, and it highly depends on your playstyle and what you're trying to achieve. If you end up enjoying this video, make sure to leave a like. Also, if you want to see my future Destiny 2 content, consider subscribing as well. Now, there are several weapons that will be good for a few more seasons or maybe just one season. I will include some weapons from previous seasons that will be able to be upgraded when Beyond Light drops. I will try to stick away from weapons that are not farmable any longer, although in some cases it's unavoidable. I do mention some Last Wish raid weapons. These can be attained via chests that you can get as a solo player. There are plenty of videos covering that online as well. I do mention Garden of Salvation weapons in this video, but in order to get those, you're going to have to do that raid. Now, this is not an exhaustive list, just some recommendations, and in this video I will only be covering primary weapons, with secondary and heavy weapons coming in a later video. So for each primary weapon type, I'm going to give you a couple of my highly recommended weapons in that category, and a couple of honorable mentions. So with that said, my first primary weapon type is auto rifles. I would highly recommend acquiring a Gnawing Hunger. This notorious weapon that was reissued in Season of Arrivals can be farmed via the Prismatic Recaster. You have a small chance to get this from a basic Umbral engram, a slightly better chance from the Dredgen focused Umbral, and a 50% chance from the Lead focused Umbral. Now, the next auto rifle I would recommend is farming a decent False Promises, which can also be farmed via the Umbral engram and Prismatic Recaster. Again, you have a slight chance from the base Umbral, a better chance from the Pyramid focused one, and a 50% chance from the Rifle focused Umbral. As far as honorable mentions in the auto rifle category, we have the Forward Path, which can be obtained via Iron Banner. If you want to brave Trials of Osiris, you can try and get the Summoner auto rifle. And a third one, the Reckless Oracle from the Garden of Salvation raid. Next, I want to talk about bows. Unfortunately, there won't be a lot of options moving forward here. I really hope that more bows get introduced. However, we do have the Whispering Slab that was introduced this season. Again, this can be farmed via the Prismatic Recaster. You have a slight chance from the base Umbral, better chance from the Pyramid focused Umbral, and a 50% chance from the Edge focused Umbral engram. Now, another bow that's pretty great that will be here for at least Season 12 is the Point of the Stag. And I am unsure if you can still get this, but it was obtainable via Iron Banner last season. If you can still do the quest line, I highly recommend doing so. As far as honorable mentions here, I have the Tyranny of Heaven bow from the Last Wish raid, and I have Arsenic Bite 4B from the World Loot Pool. Now, as for hand cannons, there's usually quite a few good offerings available, and I do expect there to be several to choose from that get introduced in Beyond Light. As for the ones you can get now that I would recommend, the two standouts for me are Dire Promise and Old Fashioned. The Dire Promise can excel in PvP, and the Old Fashioned is a great PvE option depending on the role that you get. These can both be farmed via world drops, and if you have a ton of gunsmith material, head over to Banshee 44, or you can alternatively just hope you get lucky with a standard legendary drop. Honorable mentions that are new offerings that will be good for a year. They are the Ichilios Handcannon from the Prophecy Dungeon, as well as the Nature of the Beast, which is a world drop, and then I have Nation of Beasts from the Last Wish raid, and Ancient Gospel from Garden of Salvation. One of my all-time favorite weapon types is the Pulse Rifle, so I got a couple recommendations for you there. I very much recommend the Cold Denial. Try finding both a PvE and a PvP role on this one. This also comes from the Prismatic Recaster with a small chance from base Umbrals, a higher chance from Pyramid Umbrals, and a 50% chance from the Arrival focused Umbral. Now, I also highly recommend Sacred Providence from the Garden of Salvation raid. In my opinion, this is an underused weapon. I have a role with Outlaw and Quick Draw that I have used extensively in PvP and Endgame PvE. Don't sleep on this weapon. Pulse Rifle honorable mentions, I have the Last Perdition and the Gion 7 rifle from World Drops. Here's another weapon type that may be lacking a bit, and that is Scout Rifles. I recommend trying to find a good Night Watch, which is a reissue of the Gambit Prime Scout Rifle, and this can be farmed the exact same way that the Gnawing Hunger is farmed. Now this is one of the times I'm going to bring up a weapon that can't be farmed any longer, and that is Patron of Lost Causes from Season of Dawn. If you happen to have a decent roll on this weapon, it will be a good option for Season 12. As far as honorable mentions in Scout Rifles, again, if you are willing to play Trials, you can go for the Scholar Scout Rifle, or I would somewhat recommend the Transfiguration from the Last Wish raid. Next we have Sidearms, and there are actually several that you can farm for here. I recommend the Breachlight from the Legacy Seasons Umbral or the Dawn Focused Umbral. This is going to be sunset after Season 12, but it is one of the best PvE sidearms in my opinion. I also recommend the Lonesome, which can be farmed via the Prismatic Recaster as well, with a small chance coming from the base Umbral, a better chance from the Dredgen Focused Umbral, and a 50% chance from the Contrast Focused Umbral. As far as honorable mentions for sidearms, I think that the Last Hope, Last Dance, and Enigma's Draw are all great options, and they come from the World Loot Pool. And then another one is Fool's Remedy, which comes from Iron Banner. Now as you can see, sidearms seem to have the largest selection moving forward, and since they are part of the artifact mods this season, that reduces the chances that they will be part of the artifact for Season 12, unfortunately. The final primary category is Submachine Guns. Thankfully, there are several good options with a variety of sources. I guess before I move on, why aren't there that many raid SMGs? Anyway, my first recommendation is the Death Adder, which comes from the Prophecy Dungeon, and I know some people are looking for a Recluse replacement, but I think the Recluse is irreplaceable unless it gets reissued. That doesn't mean this SMG is bad, just don't go looking for this to replace your Recluse in endgame activity. And that also goes for the next SMG, the Ikilos SMG. This gun is still good, but it's going to be no Recluse, and it's also going to be good if you like the Warmind Cell build. This comes from the Prismatic Recaster as well, with a small chance from the base Umbral, a better chance from the Exodus focused Umbral, and a 50% chance from the CQC focused Umbral. Honorable mentions include the 7th Seraph SMG, which can be farmed via the Prismatic Recaster and Umbral engrams, and then Escape Velocity, which comes from World Drops. Alright, so those are my recommendations for primary weapons to be on the lookout for while preparing for sunsetting. I want to make sure you all have a good arsenal to head into the endgame when Beyond Light drops, and with the length of the season extended, hopefully this will give you something to do in the meantime. Let me know in the comments what weapons you are trying to get before the season, maybe even include your desired role to help other people out who may be looking for a good role. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.